Brian Ritsuno here. Today I wanted to share with you the importance of adjusting your thinking or strategy at different stages of your life. It's like when we grow, right, or when we age, even, uh, we change daily. We might not really notice that just because it's seems slow, right? Like day by day, But then if you look back even a year ago or 2 years ago, what you have been doing is quite different. And that's the thing about the life. It's like if you are not careful of adapting and to the changing circumstance, and if you stick to just a one thing, right? Like, oh, that really worked, right? Whatever things that worked. If you get stuck in that thing for, like, let's say 3 months later, even, or 6 months or a year later, you probably are already that whatever worked is not really not working anymore. But then you just delude yourself that you think it works, and the result is generally not great. It's yeah, if you're doing the business or what, your sales or things are already going down around that time, just because whatever worked before is no longer working, possibly because of the competition of people's tastes might have already evolved or moved away or changed, whatever the reason is. So really, don't get stuck in one way. That's what I'm trying to say here. And for me, it's like it's like when you were like a kid, like it's a great thing to think of, like finding a sort of like a philosopher's stone, right? Like the this type of like elixirs. If you have this philosopher's stone, then everything you can make a gold, and then your life is happily ever after. Or if you drink this one particular drink, then every disease get cured, and you get like perpetual youth, or somewhere along the line. But then we tend to think wanted to find this just one thing, and I had the same sort of like idea. Okay, if I could find some kind of way to do this, then you know my life will get better, right? But then just because I was focused on just certain one thing, it never really worked, and the result is very, very unsatisfactory, to say the least. But didn't quite notice. It's just to kind of keep kind of trying to find, and then kind of stuck to it, and then it worked that time, and then okay, it's gonna work. And rather than just when it just does not work, I didn't even anticipate it's not gonna be work, because I assumed that it is gonna work forever. So I wasn't really prepared for the change, that to happen, and then things stop not going well. I got surprised in a sense, and not preparing for the this type of emergency in a sense. And when I really think about it, it's this type of actually finding just the one thing is pretty intellectually lazy, because your idea is to, okay, if I find one, I'm gonna just slack off. I'm gonna just do the same thing, right? It is very yeah, very lazy way to think. If I really uh, because I didn't quite want it to kind of think all the time, right? Like, it's like, as long as there's a one particular formula to live, like a framework to live, then I could really yeah, like a chill, it's like a very very like a childish fantasy. It's like a lot of people say like, oh, if I get a my dream is to have a vacation home in like a tropical island and then sip cocktail every day. Yeah, doesn't make any sense because if you do that type of lifestyle for, let's say, a few weeks, you're gonna get really tired and you get super unhealthy. It's gonna get so bored, I guarantee. So that's just not gonna work. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, this one thing will solve everything, right? I mean, a lot of times religion kind of sells that type of things. Some cult, like, okay, if you enter into my program, right, like a faith program, whatever, then your concern or everything will be taken care of. Really, I don't think so. Oh, I mean, in a sense, that's just not the reality. It's more like a fantasy. And if you can believe it, but then there is a consequence. And then what we do here is to talk about the reality. And so eventually, like, when I realized is like, after I did this type of lifestyle, right, like, okay, believe in one thing and then everything's gonna be okay. So for instance, like, I was like a religious upbringing, and then if I really really believe in like or pray to God or whatever, like believe enough, everything will be given, something like that, right? But then what I notice about my reality gets smaller and smaller because I'm not really doing enough to interact with like actual reality. I was trying to find some sort of like answer in an ethereal, like my imagination, that I didn't put enough concern to the actual reality. And now I sort of understand that this is actually cutting corners. The way I think, it's just a way to try to cut corners, like try to be lazy. Once I find, so it's just a whole attitude is not great. So there is a few challenges that I noticed, like this kind of journeys. So what about this kind of like principles or morality or values? Are they like not solid? It's like, is this something that you can actually change? You should change things around. This is what's important. All these are your tools, principles, moralities, or value. It's a methodology. It's your method to do something. And the more you have, in a sense, like, and of course, like the more you skillful you at each situation in your life, you have to use different type of a principle, and then you got to use it in your own way. Otherwise, like all these things, like a principle, morality, and value, all this becomes a dogma. Means it's like every situation, any case, you got to do it in a certain way. But that doesn't work, right? Like if you have a screwdriver and there's a nail, are you still gonna use a screwdriver to hit the nail, right? It's just ridiculous, right? You have to have the hammer, right, to hit the nail. And everything is like this in this world. So principle and the morality and all that stuff is so important. And these are not like relative things. It's pretty solid. Okay, because it's been tested for thousands of years of human experience, and then instill to us as a story or some kind of the aphorism. But at the same time, these are tools and method. So you have to be the one that make sure that, okay, this is for this situation, this will be helpful, like to listen to this principle. But then this principle is not quite enough, so I'm going to add to it. This kind of like rationality and incorporating, not dependent on the tools, right? Like if you start just following the principle blindly, then you're just lazy. Just like the same thing, like as I explained, it's just a cutting corner. So I can rely on that, and then you just absolve your responsibility. Oh, it's like principle says so. I just follow it, and I screwed up, so it's not my fault. No, that doesn't make any sense, right? If there's a nail, and if you're using a screwdriver, and then if it doesn't go, the nail doesn't go in, whose fault is that? Is that a screwdriver's fault, or it's your fault? It's your fault that you didn't think it through using, right? Even if you're using a hammer, if you're going like sideways or whatever the way, if you're doing it in the right way, then you hit the, your thumbs, or it went down the crookedly, right? It's not the principle is the one it's wrong, right? Like, it's not the hammer is wrong, it's the way you use it is wrong. So making sure that change, in a sense, like have as many or much or robust value or morality, but then you have to adjust case by case in a way. So we may wonder how this kind of like adjusting the reality really means, right? So think of like every single day when you wake up or do something. First of all, you have to have a goal. Like you want to accomplish something. Otherwise, like in life, you're gonna just live in the pleasure island per se. You're just looking for something to make you feel better. That's about it. And that's a really pathetic existence. So try to find something. If you don't have anything, just try to help people. Right? Help people is a great goal. And if you don't have anybody to still do it, then help yourself. It means like try to keep things neat, work out, whatever. Make yourself better. Those are the goals. So let's say you have the goals, right? To get to the goal, what do you need? You need a strategy, okay? And a strategy means it's like, okay, what to do, okay? This is how, and a tactic is like how to do it, right? So strategy, you have to have it. And even let's say if you're doing the workout, right? Like initially, or like nutrition or whatever. Initially, like let's say first 1 month, this method or the way you do my work. But then eventually your body adapt to it, and then you have to increase, for instance, like a load or the way you do things or the way you eat, so that then you can actually kickstart your progress to the next height in a way, and you got to kind of keep doing this. So one strategy. So what I'm trying to say is like you got to change your strategy in a different aspect of your progress. Same thing when it comes to running a business or anything of the sort, like even a relationship. In the beginning, like for instance, in the relationship, like in the beginning might be great, like just doing certain things. But after a few months later, if you're doing the same thing, you're gonna have probably a lot of problems. Doesn't work, and then you have to understand this reality so that you're not gonna get like say, oh, he changed, she changed, I changed. It doesn't make any sense. That's the way the life is. If you're gonna want it to really work it out, after a certain time, you gotta say, change the tactic, change a strategy, okay, and then just kind of keep going like this. So somebody might say, so that does that mean like can we do whatever we see fit at that time, right? In a sense, so right. I would say, yeah, whatever works, right? That's all pretty much how we really effectively live. But then the goals or mission or whatever that are, if those are important enough, these becomes your anchor in life. Because if you just live kind of day by day, let's say your strategy is very short term, right? Okay, this is how I live my life today, right? And then if there's no goal or like long-term goal or long-term mission or whatever, or purpose or anything like that, then your life becomes pretty chaotic, and too much chaos is not that good. It's as bad as too stagnant life. You got to be right in the kind of the middle, as a kind of cliche goes, if it's cliche for you now. It's like you got to be on the edge. If it's get too chaotic, like everything you got to kind of figure out, then you don't have that time to develop yourself gradually. That life is in a sense creating a garden, right? Like so you're putting like seeds in it in the soil, put the water and then fertilizer, and then gradually it grows. It takes time. Whatever we do, it takes time. The problem of chaos is it doesn't give you the time to appreciate that growth. It's like when things are trying to budding, right? The plants get budding, and then you feel super impatient, and I'm gonna do something else, and then you do something else, and then it dies. So whatever you did doesn't, or the weeds start showing up, and then your garden get mess, complete mess. So, right. So that's why there should be some sort of like goals principle that semi stable. And of course, like as you progress, and if you have a new information, new skills, new perspective, new chance, actually, like the world might change irrespective of your progress, right? Like all of a sudden, like back in the day, like people driving like a horse carriage, and all of a sudden there's a car invented. If you're a carriage maker, it's like, oh, I can't really do that much. We got to change it to car maker, right? That's a smart way to shift. So goal have to shift as well. So just incorporate this type of adaptability here, even in the goal, mission, or whatever that in the long term. Aim, so to speak, long-term aim that you need to adjust as well as you progress. So in a sense, how you're gonna adapt? The best way really is to just keep experimenting. and then learn as much as from other people, right? So a lot of people already have done what you've been doing. I mean, and then they're vastly more successful. So just learn from these people. Find a mentor or find somebody that who gets where they are at. Get inside. Possibly you got to work for them for a few years, right? Take advantage. You know, nothing is really permanent. But then that period of times whenever you do something, you have to really appreciate the opportunities. You know, never complain, never make excuses. Don't do it as the kind of like a duty or that type of like obligation in things. You know, that kind of kills the spirit. So if you're doing it, then love it. You know, just think positively, so that you're more engaged actively in the development of your reality, in a sense, so that you can adjust and then grow organically. And this type of things. Okay, so can we get like stable someday, sometimes? Yeah, it's gonna be, you know, the more you do this process, you're gonna be more and more successful, right? I mean, the difference between who are not getting anywhere and who are not is people who actually keep doing it, keep going, or people that who think but do not do it, right? Action creates the result. That's it, really. And then be able to adapt or not. So, but then as you grow more, you're gonna have a more resource. Being successful comes with, generally speaking, more money. Like if you do it well, if you think it through, right, you have more resource. So you have a lot more things. You're gonna have a more financial stability, but then you have to keep adjusting. This is never ends, just because of the world changes quite rapidly. And then it's very important that humans get used to it, and then it's something that, as I said, worked before is no longer working because people might get tired of it. But then you got to kind of keep pushing. But then I got to make a caveat here. Some of the things would not really quite change. Okay, I mean that's really what Warren Buffett really likes. Like you know, different direction, different way. If you want to go to the technology sector, rapid change. But then let's say if you want to go to like a food section, you know, sectors, then you know, taste bud people don't change that much. You know, so that's another direction. Like if you want to take a little more stable, but then there is going to be a more competition, like a more bloody competition, and it's not scalable. So you know, that type of things you gotta think it through. But that's a different topic. So, but then we just have to keep going until until pretty much we die. But then enjoy it. It's really because this kind of things gives you every single day a new attitude, right? When you get up, you're gonna be excited because you're gonna do something new, something exciting. It's like something that actually going somewhere, rather than stale and boring and obligation and that type of things. So yeah, just start. I mean, wherever you are, and keep adapting, and keep learning, and yeah, just don't stuck in one place for a long time. Hi, thank you for watching. Please write down your idea in the comment section below to help each other. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe and hit bell button to be notified a new video. See you next time.